Something is happening across the pond. A new city is being built from the ground up in Saudi Arabia toward the northwestern part, aiming to be the world's first smart city. Powered fully by renewable energy, they say wind and solar. They are accepting applications. I saw the advertisement come across television. Flashy pictures. The funny thing is, one of the pictures they show is of Singapore in the commercial. So they didn't think I'd catch that. But see, details like this and more are what you all will hear in tonight's program. Is NEOM the real deal, or is it nothing more than a tourist trap? Join me as I take you to the world's first smart city, NEOM. The first question I have for you tonight, and everybody, this is my guest, Christopher Roberts, is a very good friend of mine, who is exactly the voice on the Middle East and Middle East policy that we need. And he'll be making many appearances on this show because what he speaks, the truth he speaks, is a lot of what you need to hear, but a lot of what's not being talked about in our current media and our current theocracy. So the first question, Chris, now I can get into it, is while uncovering that the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin announced the city of NEOM in 2017, the Saudi government then announced Nad Me al-Nassar would be the government director. Who do you believe is truly behind the city of NEOM?
Yes, I would like to start off by saying thank you for having me on this show. And
Absolutely.
that honestly, I believe that the city of NEOM isn't necessarily a project of the Crown Prince by himself, but is more so funded by the Club of Rome, the likes of the Bilderbergers and these think tanks, that are trying to sway the policies of the world, from away from our democratic institutions that we have here in America and the republic in which we will stand and die for,
Right.
towards the totalitarianism that we see under the auspices of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin.
Right. True. No, that's a good point. And
the
absolutely.
push is towards a totalitarian world government. I mean, we're not talking conspiracy theory here. I mean, we can see the evidence throughout history,
That's true. And this is history repeating itself because
yes, sir.
Many people have not learned from that history. Absolutely. So my next question for you, and you nailed that. I really appreciate that answer. It was very thoughtful. Saudi Arabia is becoming a superpower, if not already a superpower in the Middle East. But is that a bad thing? Now, hear me out. Okay. A stable Middle East lessens America's military presence in the region. Okay. By having a region able to counter the will of our frenemies in Iran. Saudi Arabia has the resources to build up their own private sectors, diversify its own economy, reduce their dependence on oil. So I have a two-part question for you. Why do they need NEOM to do these things?
Okay, it's not necessarily that they need NEOM to do these things, but they're using NEOM as a tool to accomplish these things. And going back to what you said about Saudi Arabia, and how, yes, there's more diplomatic ties between Israel and how there's basically unwritten, rule between them that they will protect each other against their foe Iran, but at the same time,
excellent point.
But at the same time, we know as men of faith that, Jerusalem will become a stumbling block to the nations.
Oh, absolutely.
And that they will say peace and safety. And maybe this is what NEOM, and this is the true purpose behind the implementation of NEOM.
That's very well put.
To basically, indoctrinate us to believing that, like you said, with their human rights and their sports washing and how, even after Mohammed bin Salman has let women drive and men and women, cohabitate in public and, people rent let couples that aren't married rent hotel rooms and the relaxation on cinemas and et cetera, that this is about the democratization of Saudi Arabia to allure Western capital as well as Western tourists.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That all adds up. That all checks off. And when we're talking about Saudi Arabia, superpower. Again, my true, just really yes or no question is that a bad thing for the world?
It's not necessarily a bad thing for the world,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily a good thing for the world either.
It's a little bit of it versus evil. That's the way
Very
I
much
look at
so.
Saudi Arabia. A lot of Saudi Arabia is good versus evil,
The
and
lesser of two evils.
the lesser of two evils in another sense. That's very true. But thank you for that response. I really appreciate that, and you really evolved on the audience. I know that if they felt like I did, that's very powerful. So one of the main sticking points of this plan is they're going to 1,000 of its own citizens to NEOM. That includes members of the Badoon tribe. This caused a stir to the point someone was actually killed, and it's documented for all to go see on the internet, for refusing this. So are people to have any faith in a Saudi-run city where they have such a poor track record with human rights?
Yes, sir. Like you just
Mhm.
said, they're willing to kill their own citizens to
Mhm.
allow this to come to fruition.
Heartbreaking.
You
Absolutely
know,
heartbreaking.
but isn't it the same to be said of the Jews that they sacrifice their own people, or the Japanese, or the Germans, or we could nitpick about that all day.
That's
You
true.
know,
In history, there's definitely those cases and scenarios that have arisen. Absolutely. You're very right about that. And to compare this to them is also a stretch, but it's not too far of a stretch that I'm not willing to go. They do have a poor track record with human rights. Yes.
and
But does that mean,
according,
but
sorry,
that does, no, you're fine. It just, like I, before, not to ramble on, but it does, like you said, we can't just judge them solely on that.
no, sir.
That's,
But like you said, but what they're trying to do is, if we, delve into the Bible a little bit and bring, the two, let's converge these two worlds together. You
mhm.
know, is that according to Paul in Galatians 4:25, Mount Sinai is in Arabia. And that
Mhm.
when the Jews crossed the Red Sea, they did not cross into what we today call the Sinai Peninsula, but they crossed into northwestern Saudi Arabia, the Tabuk region, the exact region where NEOM is being built. Is that any
Wow.
coincidence?
That is no coincidence. And I know coincidences do happen, but see, I don't trust coincidences. I
Me either.
trust my Savior, Jesus Christ, who died on sins, who died on the cross for my sins as well as yours. That's who I trust.